At one point, during one of her days of normalcy, she told me that when she thought back on how she had treated me, she felt like she'd been taken by aliens and replaced with a body double. Like she'd been watching an evil version of herself destroying my life while she watched helpless from space. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, going to go over a story titled, "We Had a Perfect Life and My Wife Cheated." And big shout out to Joseph for sending me this story. And guys, what we have here is a story about yet another guy who was completely clueless and was way too nice and giving and was completely taken advantage of by his wife. And you're going to see in this story, guys, this guy was married to her for just 1 year. 1 year. And all the BS started. And he'd been with her for 8 years, it sounds like, before then. It sounded like he described them being his best friends, even though I have a hard time believing that. All these other things. But ultimately, it sounds like she just simply settled for the nice guy who had resources, great income, all that. And he just gave and gave and gave, and she'd take and take and take. But eventually, this guy's obviously pushed far enough, and ultimately, he kicks her to the curb, which is a great thing. And so I'm doing this one, guys, is yet another example why guys need to spend... This guy here spent years with this girl, and yet didn't see her true colors. So the perfect example, you really need to see what she's like completely. In all situations for even consider getting married. And even then you don't know. And also what happens when you are just a giver and a giver and a giver, and you wish someone's a taker. And also you're going to see here, this chick is mental. Or she's putting on a great act that she's mental, trying to excuse all blame. But ultimately, you're also going to see just all the manipulation tactics and the back and forth messing with this guy's head is unbelievable. And this guy has a lot of smackable moments, let me tell you. And he obviously learns the hard way. And hopefully, he'll be okay. But just another example of the world we're living in now. So it starts off, he says here, "I married my best friend last year. We've been together for 8 years, and it's been the most amazing and fulfilling relationship I've ever had." I can't imagine the way he describes her here was that wonderful prior to her putting the ring on the finger. But truly, we got a bait and switch situation going on here. The second she's got that ring, all of a sudden, boom, the real her comes out. He said, "We had the perfect life. We had the cutest little puppy, and she's the most loyal and loving creature I've ever met. We've been saving for a house in our dream city, and we were just about ready to pull the trigger this year. We were planning to adopt afterwards. We finally paid off all our student loans. We have amazing friends and hobbies, and we're both passionate about. We did everything together. Dates multiple times a week, every weekend for sure, and usually a few during the week, the work week, road trips and vacations and events. We stayed up late every night cuddling and talking about our future together." Cuddling and talking. If you're staying up, I hope you're doing something other than cuddling and talking. We have a million little inside jokes, and we sent flirty texts to each other all day. We had an amazing sex life, every one of our fantasies, every day, often multiple times a day. Okay, well, I take that back what I said. We made it through graduate school and the pandemic and all sorts of other tumultuous life events together. Okay, so it sounds like it sounded like, in his opinion, he had a good thing going, but obviously not. This goes to show what kind of an actress he had here and how they can be actresses. He says, "I work from home. I took care of all the house chores so she didn't have to do any." Smack. No. I don't care if you work from home and she works out. She has to participate in the chores. You shouldn't have to do it all. That is nice guy shit. "I took care of the dog. I did the training and the walking and the feeding so she wouldn't have that extra stress. I make 4 times her salary so she can work her dream job, which doesn't by itself make enough to pay rent, and since we live in NYC. Smack. Now you're also walking the dog and doing all that other stuff. Now, we all love our pets, but you're doing all that too so she wouldn't be stressed. Come on here. Too nice, too accommodating. Women do not respect guys that are doormats. He makes 4 times the amount that she does. And because her income alone wouldn't even pay for the rent, let alone the rest, in New York City. So this goes to show you, now we can start getting to the bottom why she's with this guy. Because remember, guys, I tell you, eventually when the gals get to be like late college, getting out of college, they start looking for that nice guy to settle down with, the one who they can guarantee is going to have a job, a future career they can be with, put a ring on their finger, because the bad boys, Chad and Tyrone, ain't going to do that. Says here, I've never complained about any of this and been able to do all these things for her and made me so proud and happy so she could fulfill her own professional dreams. It'd be great to do these nice things for somebody that obviously shows it back to you, and it sounds like maybe she was before, except for not doing any chores or walking the dog, or taking him out to go to the bathroom, but still. And watch how this chick thanks him. And still, she cheated on me. She cheated with a coworker she's only known for a few months, who is way younger than her, who is her subordinate at work. Cheated with a coworker, huh? Talk about a cliche. I told her I'd be willing to work it through in therapy together, that I could forgive her because her life was so amazing. Smack. No, once a cheater, always a cheater. You're doing all these amazing things for her, taking care of her, making her life easier to make it easy on her, and she thanks you by the cheating? Oh, hell no. It's over, honey. And therapy, that's just going to try to make you see her side. And she told me she was so sorry, would do anything to make things right, and that she never meant to hurt me. But I found out last week she's still cheating on me with him. And when I confronted her, she became unrecognizable. She was verbally abusive and yelled at me and told me that she never loved me or our puppy. Ouch. That's harsh. Now you're seeing she's gone from Mr. Jekyll, Dr. Hyde, what is it? Dr. Hyde to Miss Bitch, whatever the hell it is. Dr. Jekyll to Miss Bitch. She told me that she'd just been using me all along, and now that she's found someone else, she didn't need me anymore. And she didn't feel any remorse or guilt that she had only pretended to apologize when she got caught the first time, so she could keep using me for money. And her true colors are revealed. As if he shouldn't have cut her off the first time. Now, right then and there, goodbye. Go live with your lover. End of story. Your bags are out front. End of story. It says I should be angry, but I just feel so sorry for her. Smack. Stop being the nice guy. She's nuts, but this is also kind of why you got here. I'm still going to have an amazing life. I took her dog, my dog now, I guess, and moved out. Why are you moving out? Make her move out. Or, better, okay, you leave, and now she has to take care of the rent on a place she can't afford. I'm still going to be buying that house alone now. All my friends, also our friends, and even her friends have been so supportive. Even her family has been supportive of me. She's losing a lot of friends. She's losing me, her best friend, at the very least. She might also lose her job. She can't afford rent where she's living either way. She always liked expensive shows and clothes and hobbies and going out to eat. And now she can't have any of that. Not your problem, man. Well, I'm glad to hear that he's got the support from all these friends and her family and all that, because usually she'll make up some BS story and he's seen to be the bad guy. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but she doesn't return my calls anymore. So I guess this is it. Why are you calling her? Cut off completely. The only communications you should have would be actually your attorney talking to her or her attorney about the divorce proceedings, not you talking to her. I'll never understand what happened or why she gave up on our life together out of nowhere like this. Well, obviously she's full of shit. Or she has a true, and I'm going to emphasize true, mental disorder. But we're going to get into that. He says, now we're on to an update. He says, I was so completely overwhelmed by the response to my original post and was so busy dealing with the fallout, emotional and otherwise, of my soon-to-be ex-wife's affair to respond to everyone's messages. So a quick apology to anyone's DM I didn't respond to. Stop apologizing. I never gotten hundreds of messages before on any platform, but I did see them and they did help me feel less crazy, so thank you, everyone. As many as you predicted, she tried to come back. Shocker. Multiple times, in fact. The last 2 months have been insane in a lot of ways for me. I encouraged her to see a therapist, and she was diagnosed with a personality disorder. I don't think she has a personality disorder. I think she has a freaking giant bitch disorder. She's a Tyrannosaurus bitch. She didn't tell me the specifics, but my own therapist suspects borderline personality disorder for what it's worth. Oh, so then she's supposed to be excused for her actions then? I still love and care about her so much, smack, that every time she called me, sobbing, telling me that she hadn't meant it and would do anything to make things right again, I fell for it and told her I would help any way I could. Smack. How much hurt does this guy have to go through to realize that she's nuts, selfish, manipulative, narcissistic, an a-hole that's going to keep doing it over and over and over again? What happens to white knights, guys? In retrospect, it was so bizarre and entrancing seeing these glimpses of the person I used to know reaching back out to me in such obvious pain. And so every time she told me, stone-faced, a few days after apologizing, that she hadn't meant the apology and had only said to manipulate me and had faked the tears. It hurt so much more, having just seen the glimpses of the wonderful person I knew for 8 years. I'm not going to deny this isn't painful and hard, absolutely, but this guy needs someone in his life to give him a good slap upside the head and say, bro, I know you're hurting, but she's poison. Get her out of your life. Even if she does have a disorder, let's just say for argument she does, you don't need that. Why bring misery to your life? I got so lost in trying to help her during those isolated moments of normalcy that I lost track of how many times she abruptly switched her entire attitude towards me. It was only recently that I went back and counted. 15. 15 times she did that. 15 times that she switched between telling me that she loves me and had learned from her mistake and couldn't wait to hold me again and tell me she had no regrets, never loved me, and she's only been manipulating me. She's nuts, or she's an a-hole, or both. You don't need it. At one point, during one of her days of normalcy, she told me that when she thought back on how she had treated me, she felt like she'd been taken by aliens and replaced with a body double. Like she'd been watching an evil version of herself destroy my life while she watched helpless from space. What a steaming pile of bullcrap. And then when I called her a few days later, and she started yelling at me for not being good enough and telling me that she was busy with her affair partner, who she had sworn she was done with just 2 days before. I reminded her of her alien story. She told me that she didn't remember telling me that, and she would never say anything or something so dumb. But if she had, it would have been only to manipulate me. Oh my God. Okay, dude, I hope you can get... How many times do you have to go through this bullshit? 15 times or more before you get it? I mean, it can feel bad for this guy to a point, but then you just want to slap the shit out of him. It's like, come on. I'd never been a victim of abuse before, so it's taken me a lot longer than I like to admit to realize what she was doing to me. I'm hoping you realize this. I always thought when I saw other people being treated so poorly, wow, I would never let that happen to me. But when I was actually in this situation, all I could think of was how I could help her. I always try to see the best in people, and as far as I know, this is the first time someone who is close enough to me to know that has purposely taken advantage of it to keep hurting me with no intention of stopping. That's right, it's not going to stop. And it's interesting that this never happened before. This is why I think absolutely this isn't. I don't think this is an act. I don't think it's a. What the hell is I diagnosed? I think that this is on purpose, because she didn't display any of this back and forth shit before, and all of a sudden, boom. I think it's a freaking act. It still feels so strange, like I hallucinated the last 8 years of my life, but I filed for divorce this week. Yes, brother. I didn't respond to her last call. I know exactly how it would have gone as well. The apologies, swearing she would make things better, that she loves me so much. And then a few days later, the shouting and the abuse and telling me that I wasn't good enough for her and that she never loved me. This is also in some of the DMs, people mention something about hearing about my original post from TikTok. I don't have a TikTok, so I guess someone is impersonating my throwaway account, which is strange. Just a heads up, if anyone is personally invested in my story at all, this is the only place I'm posting online, and I'm writing about any other accounts or not me. This is also as a quick update for all the people wondering how I'm doing personally. I've been having a blast going on adventures with my dog. My friends have all been taking turns reaching out every day. My family's been amazingly supportive. My manager told me to take a month off to sort myself out and was super refreshing. Being back at work afterwards has been great. My coworkers have been hyping me up and checking in with me at lunch. I was able to get back to some of my old hobbies I had dropped because of the pandemic and made some new friends there. It's been good. I'm good. Well, awesome, man. I know I got a lot of smacks in there at you, but you had it coming. But I'm glad to hear this guy, after all this shit, finally filed for divorce. He's not talking to her anymore, cutting her off, and he's moving on. That's great. And that's what a man does. He doesn't let himself be dragged down. But this poor guy here, because he sounds like a cool dude. He sounds like everybody likes him. Her family likes him. His friends, their mutual friends, the coworkers, the boss giving him time off work. That sounds like a really good guy. Problem is, the guy's too nice. And hopefully he learns from this and starts being so giving, being a giver, and being with a taker. Because people like that giving tend to attract takers if they're not careful, and they'll fully take advantage of them. But you know what? Now she's on her own. Now she can go do what she wants to do. And I guarantee the dude she's hooking up with ain't going to take her in or give her that lifestyle. But this guy needs to cut off all contact with her. No talking to her, because he has a weakness for her. Finally, he cut her off after like 20 times, but he's got a weakness, and she could just put on the tears, and next thing you know, we're off back to square one. So this guy needs to have his attorney talk to her attorney or whatever, and that's that. Never talk to her again, and block her on all social media, her phone, all that. And she starts bugging him, restraining order. But guys, this is a perfect example to show you the extreme case of, the bait and switch and Dr. Jekyll and Ms. Bitch, those type of things. So gotta be careful out there, and also how they can settle, and how a good, nice guy can be fully taken advantage of if they're not careful. So I'm glad to see this guy in the end, thank the Lord, is divorcing her and moving on. It's good to hear. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, if you have a good story you'd like to share, by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. This includes either your own personal stories or something that you found online that you'd like me to cover, and I definitely will down the road. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.